everyone, it's Matt here.
All right. How's it going, everyone? This is your friend Will here.
Welcome back to another episode of the Tech Kingpins.
Today, we're going to talk about one of the technical founders' biggest dilemma, how to avoid cash burn. As a technical founder, you're very passionate about building the best product for your customer. However, the second most popular reason why a startup fails is due to the issues related to cash flow. While some of the founders are able to find great CFOs to help them mitigate this risk by planning better financially, most don't.
Today, we're going to share some of the biggest aspects that cause cash burn and how you can take these issues into consideration to prepare for success. The first thing you need to consider is project scope budgeting. You need to identify the critical features and give realistic estimations of the costs associated.
Yeah, and the key thing here is to always be pessimistic. When you identify critical feature, always identify the components that is most likely to help you propel you to the next phase. If you're in the process of accumulating users and raise more investment, then focus on the features that may appeal or attract more customers or users on board. If you're in the process of generating revenue, then you probably want to focus on what's the core value contribution, value proposition. And what I mean by always be pessimistic is always take into consideration that there are tons of issues when it comes down to technical development that weren't accounted for previously, meaning that there's no way you can oversee all of the problems, but instead, the best approach is to always factor in the possibility of having issues that can cause a delay in terms of solution delivery and ultimately come down to a higher cost for time or monetary expense.
Also, in your project scope budgeting, you want to build a release timeline because you want to launch it. You want to launch your product as early as possible so that you don't waste your resources. But you also want to keep a backlog on what you'll be releasing continuously.
Right. So it's always a mindset of time versus money. What should you be able to deliver in order to help you give you the highest chance to succeed, move on to the next phase of your startup journey? A good practice is to outline what's the total amount of features that you're trying to develop and pick out some of the most critical, most important ones in the current release, and then build a backlog of what you're trying to release next so that you can always improve your product after you launch your product with the most important features to the market. And at the same time, you're using your time and money efficiently.
The second thing you want to focus on is your execution costs. In the beginning, you want to keep your in-house team primarily as core members.
Whether it's the core engineering team or it's the executive member team, you need to always make sure that the people you bring in at the beginning is going to stick with you for a very long period of time. Because those people know the core value contribution, know all of the thought process, and know what are the obstacles and know-how of your company. So they can help you make the decisions that can help you benefit your company the most. And you need to be careful when bringing on a new team member. And one good practice is to make sure that you gave equity or profit share on top of the base salary so that they're with you throughout your journey and you can achieve success together as a team. And another good practice is to consider outsourcing. Instead of taking on the risk of recruiting a whole development team, there are several project teams in the market that are solely focused on developing product. They're very passionate about the actual development process, and they're very agnostic to the actual product they're developing. Usually in that scenario, you can build some type of milestone-based engagement so that you know when you spend money that you're expected to get a particular type of features return. So that you know when you're paying for something, you're paying for a milestone. You're paying towards a completion of your product scope.
And the third thing you want to consider is the employee churn rate. You don't want to let the employee churn rate get too high.
So according to Herzberg and McGregor, they came up with a theory of what can cause employees to have satisfaction and dissatisfaction when they're working for the company. Outside of the salary, there are things like bad working condition, bad working company policies that can cause the employee to have a dissatisfaction towards the company, and which can increase the churn rate of the company. And similarly, there are things like recognition and sense of belongingness of an employee, just overall towards the company culture, which can decrease the churn rate. As a startup, you want to make sure their churn rate is as low as possible, because the overhead of bringing on board a new team member or taking care of a team member that is going to exit and transfer that knowledge onto the rest of the team members is very, very big. And you, as a lean startup, you want to be as efficient as possible. So the cost of having an employee leaving the company is sometimes catastrophic. And you want to make sure you can try your best to mitigate those issues from happening. And what you do to combat against the churn rate is to have good leadership as well as good company culture.
So there you have it. If you're starting a project, how do you plan to optimize the execution costs and the employee churn rates of your startup? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe for more great content.
All right. Otherwise, I want you guys to stay safe and see you next time.